जय जय श्री राधे श्री वल्लभाधि की जय वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय Shri Gopal ji ki jai. Today is day 80. Day 81. Varta 75. The story of Krishna Das and his wife, both Gujarati Brahmins, one from the village of Bad and one from Choila in Gujarat. Bhav Prakash. In the eternal Leela, these two are in the Shruti Rupa group of gopis, the daughters of Madan Gop, named Nanda and Subhadra. Once Sri Thakurji went to meet Sri Chandravali-ji in Sanket. These two gopis went and reported this to Kirtiji. Kirtiji was somewhat enraged and told them never to banter such stories. Sri Chandravali-ji heard this and cursed them to fall to earth. Nanda became Krishnadas and Subhadra became his wife. Krishnadas was born in the village named Bad and his wife in the village named Choila. The wife was born into a family of Brahmins. When she grew up, she was married off to Krishnadas. The two of them would always honour renunciates, holy men or saints in their home and never send them away empty-handed. One day, Krishnadas's wife went with some 5 or 10 other village ladies to fetch some mud. Whilst they were digging, a landslide buried them all. Sri Acharyaji happened to be there and witnessed the scene. He called all the Vaishnavas together and told them to start digging to find the buried ladies. At that time, there were many Vaishnavas there, and they managed to dig away all the mud and bring out all the ladies. Half of them were on the brink of death. And so, Sri Acharyaji sprinkled them with water whilst pronouncing Vedic mantras and thus managed to revive them. The rest of the village people arrived there and took their respective ladies home. Krishnadas's wife bowed to Sri Acharyaji and asked him who he was, for he had been able to get all the ladies out and revive them. "You are most merciful. Nowadays only the Lord is merciful," she said. Sri Acharyaji explained to her, "You are a divine soul and accomplished Vaishnava. It is on your merit that all the ladies were rescued." She requested him to come to her home and accept her hospitality. Krishnadas Megan explained to her that Sri Acharyaji only ever accepted anything from his own disciples. At this time, Krishnadas heard in the village that his wife had been buried in the mud and he came running. His wife told him, "Sri Acharyaji is the Lord himself. He managed to get all of us ladies out of the mud and he revived us with water and mantras. However, he only ever accepts anything from his own disciples, otherwise from no one." Krishnadas now bowed down to Sri Acharyaji and entreated him to come to their house and initiate them and let them become his disciples. Sri Acharyaji came to their house and, after they had bathed, initiated them with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. They both requested him to grant them some seva. "Your seva is always to serve the Vaishnavas," he said. "Serve whichever Vaishnava come and go." Whichever Vaishnavas come and go. He also gave them some prasadi, vastra, worn garments from Sri Namanit Priyaji. That night Sri Acharyaji explained to them all the ways of seva in the path of grace. Then he left to go to Dwarka. Krishnadas and his wife henceforth served the Vaishnavas as they came and went. When Sri Acharyaji came back from Dwarka on his way to Adel, he stayed at Krishnadas's home. Once about 10 or 15 Vaishnavas got together to go to Adel to have Sri Acharyaji's sight. They all stayed at Krishnadas's home. At that time there were no uncooked supplies in the house. Anyway, the wife invited them all in. She thought to herself, "Now what can I do? There is nothing in the house with which to prepare and my husband is not here. The Vaishnavas must be hungry too." There was one businessman, money lender in the village, who had taken a shine to Krishnadas's wife and was always telling her that if she spent one night with him, he would give her anything she asked for. "I will go to him," she thought. She went to him and said, "I will certainly stay the night with you, but please now give me some supplies." The businessman was very pleased and gave her whatever she asked for. She went home, bathed, and after preparing various dishes, offered everything to Sri Thakurji. Afterwards, she fed the Mahaprasad to all the Vaishnavas. The rest she fed to the cows. She did not eat anything herself. In the evening, Krishnadas came home, laden with supplies. He was very happy to see all the Vaishnavas there and met with them all. He asked them when they had arrived. They answered that they had arrived in the afternoon. Krishnadas said to his wife that they must all be hungry, so she should quickly start cooking. The wife replied that he should not worry because the Vaishnavas had already had their prasad. Krishnadas was surprised and wondered how they had eaten when there had been no supplies at home. The wife told him what she had done. Krishnadas bowed down to his wife and said, "You are to be thanked that you have protected my dutiful obligation." The wife then cooked again and fed the Vaishnavas their evening meal. Both husband and wife then also partook of the prasad. After that they discussed and sang together with the Vaishnavas. In the morning, when they were ready to leave, the couple did not want them to leave with empty stomachs, so they cooked again, made the offerings, and fed them the Mahaprasad. Krishna Das then also accompanied them for a little way on the next part of their journey. After coming back home, the couple also took prasad. Then when it was evening, Krishna Das said to his wife, "Yesterday you promised to go and visit that businessman. He must be waiting for you. With what he gave us, we fulfilled our wish, and now you must fulfill his. Bathe and adorn yourself." The wife had an oil bath and applied eye makeup, a forehead dot, and red powder in her parting, as well as coloured designs on her feet. She was about to set off. However, being the rainy season, it started to rain at exactly that time. Krishna Das said, "Because of the rain, the path will be muddy, and your feet will get muddy too. The designs on your feet will be spoiled. That is no good, for the businessman may not be pleased. Now climb up on my shoulders, and I will take you to his place." He took her to the place and then came back home. She called out to that businessman from the door, and he came to open it. He was so happy and had brought a pot of water with him to wash the mud from the path off the wife's feet. The wife told him, "Don't worry, my feet are clean and dry." The businessman asked her how she had come there with clean feet, since the road was full of mud. The wife replied that her feet were clean, and that was all he needed to know. "Now please do what you want with me." But the businessman insisted on knowing how she had got there with clean feet. Then she told him that her husband had carried her on his shoulder all the way there. The businessman was astonished. "Is this true?" he asked. "Why would your husband bring you all the way to me? You never usually talk to me, but now you offered to come to me one night in exchange for some foodstuffs and supplies. You did not ask for money. Please tell me the reason for all this." The wife replied, "Some of my Guru brothers and sisters, 10 to 15 of them, had come to my house, but there was nothing there to feed them with. I thought to myself, what is the use of this body? The Vaishnavas are hungry, and that is not good. That's why I took the supplies. My husband was pleased that you had done this, and so he brought me here. So do not be afraid." Hearing all of this, the businessman cursed his own life. He said, "You and your husband are praiseworthy." He bowed down to the wife and called her his sister in faith, and begged her forgiveness. He gave her a new sari, and then he took her back home. He met Krishna Das and bowed to him also, and begged forgiveness for being a crass sinner. "Your path is the truth. Please let me also become a disciple. Your wife is my sister, and you are my brother-in-law, whom I should respect. Please let me become a disciple so that I can also swim over this ocean of worldly existence." Krishna Das explained that they did not initiate anyone, but that they were disciples of Sri Acharyaji, and that if he wanted to be fully satisfied, he should also surrender him to him alone. "In a few days, Sri Acharyaji will pass through here on his way to Dwarka. Then you may become his disciple." The businessman went home, but daily made a point of bowing to Krishna Das. After some days, Sri Acharyaji came to that village. He stayed at Krishna Das's home. Krishna Das explained all the happenings concerning the businessman to Sri Acharyaji. "The businessman is longing to become your disciple," he said. Sri Acharyaji told Krishna Das to bring the businessman to him. Krishna Das went and told the businessman that Sri Acharyaji had arrived, and he went back with Krishna Das and bowed low to Sri Acharyaji. He said, "I am so fallen, please grace me." After he had bathed, Sri Acharyaji initiated him with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. He also renamed him Gyan Chanda. Sri Acharyaji told Gyan Chanda that it was purely through the association of Krishna Das that he had been so blessed. He told him to continue to keep the company of Krishna Das, and soon he would attain the Lord. After this, Sri Acharyaji cooked, offered the preparations to the Lord, took prasad, and then went to rest. In the morning, Gyan Chand had to leave, and Krishna Das accompanied him for a small part of the journey. Sri Acharyaji was full of praise for him and said, "I told you to serve Vaishnavas, and you have done this with your mind, body, and wealth. You are incomparable." Having said this, Sri Acharyaji left, and Krishna Das went home. The accomplished Vaishnavas, Krishna Das and his wife, were thus the recipients of Sri Acharyaji's great grace. Just through contact with them, the businessman became a nice Vaishnava. Bhav Prakash. In the eternal Leela, that businessman is a cowherd boy named Peli. He was a divine soul. Through Krishna Das's connection, he became fully surrendered to the Lord and a recipient of great grace. This story of Krishna Das cannot adequately be told. Only those who have firm faith in Vaishnavas can hear or tell it. Immature Vaishnavas who want to imitate them can only fall down tragically. Krishna Das and his wife are close disciples of Sri Acharyaji, and so Sri Acharyaji lives in their hearts. Therefore they also embody fire, and anyone who regards them as worldly individuals will be burnt. They displayed this behavior in order to deliver that businessman. From this we also learn just how extremely challenging is the proper treatment of Vaishnavas. Seva must be done with the attitude of servitude to the Lord and to the Guru. Becoming a humble servant of Vaishnavas is even more difficult. These are the principles brought to light in this story. Thus concludes Varta 75, the story of Krishna Das and his wife from Varta and Trailer in Gujarat, although really there is no end to their tale. Tomorrow will be day 82 and Varta 76. For now, we conclude the story here. Shri Vallabhadisha ki jai, Shri Gosainji ki jai, Shri Giriraj Dhanana ki jai, Sab Vaishnavan ko sada saprem. Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Vrindavan Dham ki jai.